My name is Olivia Carter, and I found out my perfect boyfriend had been engaged for 6 months when I opened my own front door and his fiancée asked me if I was the cleaner. It was a Tuesday afternoon in Birmingham. I'd done an early shift on the surgical ward, finished at 2 p.m, and popped into Tesco on the way home. I remember exactly what I bought: pesto, pasta, a cheap bottle of rose, and a packet of those Parsh crisps Liam liked. Liam was my boyfriend of 3 years. He worked in finance, whatever that meant, had expensive shoes, and a habit of talking about how hard he worked, how nobody understood the stress he was under. We didn't live together, officially, unofficially. He was at my little rented flat 4 or 5 nights a week. He had his own drawer. His toothbrush was in my bathroom. His name was on absolutely nothing. I was fine with that. Or I thought I was. I told myself we were both independent and not rushing it. I walked up the stairs of my converted terrace, balancing my shopping on my hip, humming some awful song from the radio. My mind was on a patient who tried to climb out of bed that morning, not on my own life. I turned the key in my front door and pushed it open. There was a woman standing in my hallway. Tall, blonde, leather handbag dangling from one wrist, phone in her other hand, mid-30s, smart suit. The kind of woman who looks like she irons her pillowcases. We froze. "Oh," she said, recovering first. "I'm so sorry. I didn't think anyone was home. Are you at the cleaner?" The bag of shopping slid out of my fingers and thudded to the floor. "This is my flat," I said. Her expression shifted in a way that told me she was running some very fast calculations. "Right," she said slowly. "I'm Sophie. I'm looking for Liam." He said this was our place. Welcome to Quiet Storm Stories, where women who thought they were uncomplicated but manageable relationships find out they've been written into someone else's script without being told. If you've ever suspected your partner has compartments in their life you're not allowed to open, stay with me, because this is the story of how I discovered I was the weekday girlfriend in a relationship that already had a Saturday fiancé, and how a shared calendar, a phone upgrade, and my own tenancy agreement turned into weapons I didn't know I had. 6 months before Sophie stood in my hallway calling herself the fiancée, my life looked all right on Instagram. I'm 29, a staff nurse on a surgical ward in Birmingham. Long days, rotating nights, endless hand washing. I rent a decent 1-bed flat on the first floor of a Victorian terrace that someone knocked into 4 little units. It has decorative fireplaces, high ceilings, and windows that leak cold air in winter. I met Liam at a friend's birthday in a noisy bar. He was charming in the way men who sell things for a living often are. Dark hair, sharp jaw, laugh that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. He bought everyone shots, offered to get us an Uber home, and asked for my number so I can check you got in safe. He texted the next morning. Hope your head's not too bad. I owe you a coffee. XHE was good at the small stuff. Remembered my exams. Sent flowers when my granddad died. Had a talent for turning up with takeaway on nights I was too white to cook. He talked a lot about the markets and clients and targets. I nodded and feigned understanding. Numbers aren't my world. People are. We settled into a pattern. Monday to Thursday, if I wasn't on nights, he was at mine. Fridays, he always had drinks with the lads from the office. Saturdays were family day with his mum or helping his brother with the kids. Sundays were variable. Hungover brunches with me, or mates 5-a-side, or got to prep for a big week. It felt normal. We were both busy. My shifts were all over the place. I didn't question that he couldn't always stay. Every so often, he'd say, "We should talk about moving in properly." Usually when I was half asleep on his chest, I'd mumble, "Yeah," and then my alarm would go off at 5:30 a.m. and the practicalities would drown out the fantasy. There were small things that didn't quite add up. If I look back now, he was weirdly precious about his phone. Never left it unattended. Screen always facing down. His car once had a pink hairband on the back seat that wasn't mine. He said it belonged to his niece. I believed him. He never posted me on his social media. "I hate that couple's spam stuff," he said. "What we've got is just for us." I told myself I like that. That it made us more real, somehow. Then there was the time in January when my boiler broke. It was a grim Wednesday. I'd finished a run of nights, the flat was freezing, and the hot water had decided to give up. I rang my letting agency. They sent a plumber, who frowned and said the whole boiler needed replacing. Landlord's problem, love, he said. They'll sort it, eventually. I texted Liam, huddled in my duvet, and to jumpers. My boiler's dead. No hot water for 10 working days. I might die, he replied immediately. Come stay at mine for a bit. Thing is, in 3 years, I'd never been to his place. I'd seen his car, his office building, the pub he swore did the best roast in Birmingham. But not his actual home. It's a tip, he'd always say when I suggested it. Tiny, your place is nicer. I like it here. I'd been insecure enough to take that as a compliment. I hesitated. Wouldn't your flatmates mind? I texted back. He sent 3 laughing emojis. I live alone, babe. Course they won't. I stared at the message. Why had I always assumed he had flatmates? He worked in finance. He could probably afford his own place. Yeah, alright, I typed. As long as your show is hot. The next day, he picked me up with an overnight bag already in the boot. Don't look so scared, he teased. It's just for walls and some dodgy IKEA furniture. He wasn't lying. It was a perfectly normal 1-bed flat in a newer block closer to town. Neutral walls, 2 big TV. Generic live. Laugh. Love art that made me suspect his mum had gone to the range with him. There was aftershave on the dresser. Shirts in the wardrobe. A single toothbrush in the bathroom. I stayed there for 6 nights. Went to work from his. Came home from work to him. It felt almost like playing house. See, he said on the 2nd night, making us pasta. We're basically living together now. On the 7th day, the hot water at mine was fixed. I packed my bag, left it by the door. When are you going to bring some of your things here properly? He asked, leaning in the doorway. Make it ours, after your big quarterly reviews, I said. There was always a big something with him. When work calms down, work never calmed down. In March, my landlord put my rent up by £75 a month. I did the maths, sighed, cancelled my gym membership, and picked up an extra bank shift. You should have bought instead of renting, Liam said, shaking his head. Dead money, rent, easy to say from your homeowner high horse, I snapped, then apologised. Sorry, just stressed. He kissed my forehead. We'll get you on the ladder, he said. I've got a plan. Whenever Liam said, I've got a plan, a part of my brain perked up. Another part curled into a ball. 2 weeks later, my plan turned into someone else's fiancée knocking on my door. Back to the hallway. Sophie, smooth hair, flawless makeup, engagement ring catching the light. Liam said he'd meet me here after work, she said carefully, stepping further into the flat as if to prove she wasn't intimidated. This is the address he gave me. Want to be? It's mine, I said, feeling eerily calm. I've been renting it for 2 years. Liam sometimes stays. He doesn't live here. She let out a tiny laugh that sounded perilously close to a sob. That's funny, she said. Because he's been living at mine for the past year, according to our mortgage broker. Anyway, my heart did something strange. Your mortgage? I echoed. Yes, she said. The one we took out together when we bought our house. In January, she reached into her bag and pulled out a set of keys. One had a little brass tag reading 1 to B. The other had a plastic fob with a Lettings logo. Neither belonged to this building. This is awkward, she said. But can I see your tenancy agreement? No one had ever asked to see my tenancy agreement before. Not even my parents. I went into the bedroom, hands numb, pulled the folder from under the bed and brought it back. She scanned it quickly. Olivia Carter, she read. Tenant, start date March 2022, she exhaled. Something in her shoulders loosening, something else tightening. Okay, she said. So he didn't at least somehow manage to put my name on this too. Small mercies. I sat down on the arm of the sofa. I'm sorry, I don't understand, I said. Who are you two, Liam? Exactly. She held up her left hand. I'm his fiancée, she said. We got engaged last summer. We live over in Moseley. 3-bed semi. Joint mortgage. Wedding booked for September. Silence is never as loud as when someone drops a sentence like that. I laughed. It came out high and thin. You're lying, I said. This is some prank. She handed me her phone. On the screen was a photo of her and Liam outside a pretty red brick house. A sold board behind them. both holding glasses of POSECCO. Her caption: new home, new chapter. Can't wait to marry my best friend. His comment underneath: Mrs. Price-to-be. Lucky man, I recognized his coat. His watch. The way he crooked one eyebrow at the camera. Another photo, her hand with the ring. Tag, hashtag is a yes. Third photo, Liam in a grey suit, her in a blue dress. Standing in a church doorway with his arm around her shoulders. Location tag, St. Mark's. Kings Heath. Liam never liked weddings, he'd always told me. Such a faff. Pointless, he'd said, when my sister got married last year. Apparently pointless, unless he was the groom. I sat back onto the sofa, the room tilting. How long have you been together? I asked. 3.5 years, she said. My brain did the maths. That overlapped with my entire relationship. Met him on a dating app, she went on. He told me he was living with housemates in town while saving for our deposit. We bought the house last January. He said he needed a few months to gradually let go of his old place because of his landlord. This old place, I said faintly. Gesturing around my living room. Looks like it, she said. We sat in bitter, surreal silence for a minute. How did you find this address? I asked eventually. She pulled a set of printed pages out of her handbag. I recognized the logo, Vodafone. A mobile contract, upgrading his phone, she said, voice flat. He forwarded me the email. I scrolled down. Delivery details said, alternate delivery address, 1 to be Beachfield Road. Birmingham. A contact name, Olivia Carter. She looked at me with something like sympathy. That name wasn't on any of his friend lists, she said. My stomach dropped. I'm a solicitor. I've seen this movie. She checked the electoral roll. My name, this flat. No sign of him. So she'd driven over on her lunch break. Ring on her finger, keys in hand, ready to. What? Claim me as evidence. Warn me, catch him. So, she said, shaking herself slightly. You're the weekday. Apparently, I said. She rubbed her forehead. I'm not here to fight with you, she said. I just needed to know if I was going mad. You're not, I said. Welcome to the club. The front door opened, then Liam walked in, keys jangling. Whistling some tune, he stopped dead. His gaze went from my face to Sophie's, to her ring, to the tenancy agreement on the coffee table. You could see the exact second he tried to calculate which version of the truth might save him. Wow, he said, forcing a laugh. Didn't expect you two meet like this. That implies you did expect us to meet some other way, Sophie said icily. He dropped his gym bag. Leave. Babe, it's not what it looks like, he began. Which bit? I asked. The part where you told me you lived alone. Or the part where you told her this was your old place you hadn't quite let go of. He ran a hand through his hair. I was going to explain as Sophie cut him off. Explain which lie, Liam? She said quietly. The one where you said you were working late on Thursdays when you were actually here. Or the one where you told me Olivia was your landlord's daughter who sometimes popped in when that parcel turned up last month. I blinked. What parcel? I asked. She shot him a withering look. He had a package delivered to our house, but the name on it was Olivia C., she said. I asked who that was. He said, oh, my landlord's daughter. She still uses my address for some stuff. I stared at him. You used my name and your address, I said slowly. What for? He made a face. Nothing dodgy, he muttered. Just broadband. Sophie's eyes widened. You told me your sister was on our broadband, she hissed. So you got a referral discount. You absolute. I held up a hand. You can argue about the Wi-Fi later, I said. Liam, I want you to pack every single thing you own in this flat and get out. Now. He looked at me like I'd slapped him. Leave. Come on, he said. Don't be like that. We have something special. You know we do. We had something fictional, I said. Turns out it doesn't stand up well to documentation. I held up my tenancy agreement in one hand and waved vaguely at Sophie's mortgage papers in the other. Here's the thing, I said. You've built your entire life on the assumption that women will be too embarrassed to compare notes. Today, that stops. He puffed up. You can't just throw me out, he said. My stuff's here. It's not in the tenancy, I said. I am. You're a guest. Now you're an ex-guest. He turned to Sophie, switching tactics. Babe, he said. You know I love you. This, he flapped a hand at me, was a mistake. Leftover baggage. I didn't know how to end it. You ended at the moment you proposed to me, she said coldly. You just forgot to inform her. She turned to me. Do you have anywhere safe you can stay tonight? She asked quietly, just in case he kicks off. I'll be fine, I said. This is my place, she nodded. I'm going, she said to me. If I stay, I might hit him, and that'll be evidence he'll use against me in court later. She walked to the door, pausing only to drop a set of keys onto the side table. Those are your house keys, she said to Liam. Don't come back without her. Solicitor, she left. Liam looked at me. You've ruined my life, he said. No, I said calmly. You ruined 3. He slept on the sofa that night. I locked my bedroom door and pushed the chest of drawers in front of it. The next morning, he was gone. So were his drawer contents, his toothbrush, and the hoodie he kept on the back of my chair. He'd also taken the pesto from my Tesco bag. Over the following week, the fallout began to unfurl. I got a message from an unknown number. Hi Olivia, it's Sophie. Hope you don't mind me using your number. Liam's phone backed up to our cloud, so it was in there. Just wanted to say I've seen a solicitor. The wedding's off. House is going on the market. Thank you for not directing your anger at me yesterday. You had every right to, I wrote back. None of this is your fault. Good luck with the sale. If you need a witness that he was working late a lot, call me. She replied with a single, long line of laugh crying emoji, and I might take you up on that. At work, when my colleagues asked vaguely, how's Liam? I said, he's not, and left it at that. At home, I did what I always do when something doesn't add up. I checked the paperwork. My tenancy, clean. Sole tenant, me. No strange names on the rent account. My credit report. One broadband account at an address in Moseley that wasn't mine, opened 6 months ago. With me as nominated user, I rang the provider. Hi, this is Olivia Carter. I've just seen there's an account in my name at an address I've never lived at. I'd like to know who authorized that. The customer service rep did some clicking. It looks like your partner, Mr. Liam Price, added you as an authorized contact so you could manage the account, she said. I never consented to that, I said. I don't even know the password. She hesitated. In that case, I'll remove your name from the account and note it as unauthorized usage, she said. If any debts arise, they won't affect your credit file. Thank you, I said. It was a small thing. But small things add up. I also did what every self-respecting millennial does after a major life event. I posted something obscure on Instagram. A photo of a cup of tea on my windowsill. Caption, turns out you can cancel a man faster than a subscription. 10 tenths recommend. My friends got the hint. My mum, less so. He proposed to another woman while he was with you. She yelled down the phone. If I see him in Tesco, I'll knock him out with a trolley. You don't shop in his part of town, I reminded her. I'll make the trip, she muttered. For a few weeks, I swam in a soup of humiliation and relief. Humiliation that I'd been the cliche. Relief that, weirdly, I'd been the one with the easier exit. No joint mortgage. No ring to return. No shared dog or shared baby. Just a man-shaped space in my life where the chaos used to be. Then something unexpected happened. My landlord emailed to say the owner was selling up. I had a first refusal if I wanted to buy. I laughed out loud when I read it. Me, buy. On an NHS salary, with what? But then I thought of Sophie. Her house going on the market. Her mortgage agreement being combed through by solicitors. She texted me one afternoon. House sold. Moving back to my flat for now. Honestly, relieved. Feels like stepping off a roller coaster. I stared at the email from my landlord again. I booked an appointment with a mortgage advisor at the building society round the corner. Partly out of curiosity. Partly because the idea of having my own name on a bit of property, with nobody else secretly penciled in, appealed in a way it hadn't before. The advisor, a woman with sensible shoes and kinder eyes than most of the doctors I work with, looked at my bank statements, my credit file, my payslips. On your salary alone, you could get about £135,000, she said. What's the asking price for the flat? £120,000, I said, stunned. And do you have any savings? She asked. About £12,000, I said. A few years of careful skimming off my wages. No holidays. No avocado toast. She did some fast typing. It's tight, but it's doable, she said. especially with a first-time beer product. You'd be stretching for a few years, but then it's yours. Entirely yours. The idea nestled into my chest like a warm stone. We went ahead. 3 months later, I sat in the solicitor's office and signed my name on a transfer deed. Proprietor, Olivia May Carter. No Liam, no joint anything. No second key quietly cut and taken to another woman's house, when the keys were already mine and my landlord's name on the deeds had officially been swapped for mine. I stood alone in my little living room and said out loud, "To nobody, this is my flat." A ridiculous wave of emotion hit me. Joy, terror, something in between. Owning it didn't fix the betrayal. It didn't magically erase Liam's ghost from the sofa cushions, but it reframed the story. For 3 years, I'd been letting someone treat my home like a cheap hotel drop-in. Drop his bag, drop his lies, leave, now. Anyone who walked through that door would have to do so as a guest in a place I controlled. About 6 months after the boiler fiasco and the fiancé in my hallway, I saw Sophie again. I was leaving the hospital, hair ruined by the rain, when she stepped out of a Costa across the street. "Olivia," she called. We walked towards each other, both a little awkward. "Hi," I said. "How's everything?" "Better," she said. "Single, cheaper rent, fewer lies, you." "Homeowner," I said, still not quite believing it. "Same flat. No extra toothbrushes," she laughed. "I did something petty," she confessed. "Filed all my wedding planning spreadsheets under cancelled. Dodged a bullet. Felt good." We stood together in the drizzle. "I want to thank you," she said suddenly, "for that day, for not tearing me apart, for making him actually confront it. You did the hard bit," I said. "You knocked on a stranger's door and risked finding out your life was a lie." She nodded, eyes glinting. "It was," she said. "But at least now I know which bits were true. My job, my friends, my ability to spot nonsense. The rest was his problem, not a reflection of me." After we said goodbye, I thought about that. So much of the shame around being the other woman or the dupe fiancé lands on us, not on the man who built relationships on copy-pasted lines. The more I sat with it, the more I realized my embarrassment was not a moral failing. It was just data. Proof that it's incredibly easy to deceive someone who wants to believe you these days. When a friend jokes that her new man is so busy, he's never free on Saturdays. But that's just his thing. I gently suggest she ask what that thing is when a colleague says, "He hasn't introduced me to his friends yet, but we're taking it slow." I tell the story of the fiancé in my hallway, not to scare them. To give them permission to ask, "Can I see your place?" Permission to say, "I'd like my name on the broadband if I'm paying for." Half permission to feel weird about never appearing on someone's social media. I used to think trusting someone meant not checking up on them. Now I know it means they don't mind when you do. If this story is making you itch in places you can't quite name, here's what I'd love you to take away. Trust is not blind. It's informed. You are not crazy or clingy for noticing inconsistencies. A man who juggles two lives isn't talented. He's lazy. He's banking on you never comparing notes. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is exactly what Sophie did. Knock on the door you're scared of and ask the question you already know the answer to. Because once the women in the story start talking to each other, his script falls apart in seconds. And if you ever find yourself standing in your own hallway while another woman asks if you're the cleaner, I hope you remember this. You're not the mess. You're the one with the keys. 3 months after Sophie and I compared notes in my living room and he slunk off with his gym bag, life had settled into something that almost resembled peace. I still woke up some mornings with that horrible drop in my stomach, remembering the fiancé in my hallway. But mostly, my world had shrunk to things I could predict: shift rotas, rent payments, whether my neighbour's cat would try to sneak through my window again. The landlord had agreed in principle to sell me the flat. The mortgage advisor had muttered encouraging things about affordability checks and lending criteria. I was cautiously excited, the way you would be for a big op on the ward, hopeful, but not counting on it until the patient's actually in recovery. Then an email pinged into my inbox while I was on my lunch break. Chewing a squash cheese sandwich. Subject: tenancy reference request. Mr. L. Pricart was from my letting agency. The body read, "Hi Olivia, we've been asked to provide a reference for your flatmate, Liam Price, who has applied to rent property at address. Could you please confirm that he's vacated 1-B and that there are no outstanding issues with rent or damage? Thanks, Charlotte flatmate. Applied to rent." I stared at the email, pulse speeding up. For one thing, we had never been on a tenancy together. My contract had my name on it and nobody else's, for another. He had told both me and Sophie that he was a homeowner now. I took a breath and did what I've started doing whenever something doesn't sound right. I replied with facts, not feelings. "Hi Charlotte, Liam was never my flatmate. He has never been named on the tenancy or paid rent. He was a guest and moved his belongings out on date. There are no outstanding rent or damage issues from my side. Best, Olivia." I hit send and went back to my sandwich. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. Letting agency. "Hi, is that Olivia?" It was Charlotte, sounding flustered. "I am so sorry. I should have checked the tenancy before I wrote that email. He told his new agent he'd been on your contract for years as a joint tenant. I assumed that's okay," I said. "He tells a lot of stories." She laughed nervously. "Well, you've just saved me from lying on a reference," she said. "We'll correct it with them," I almost said. "Tell them to run a mile." But stopped myself. Not my circus. Later that week, I got a text from an unknown number. Unknown. "Hi. Is this Olivia? My name's Aisha. I think we have a Liam in common." The bottom dropped out of my stomach. I replied, "Me? Unfortunately, yes. How can I help?" We arranged to meet in a coffee shop in town. I arrived 10 minutes early, hands wrapped around a hot latte. A young woman in an navy hijab and battered trainers approached my table, holding the most recognizable prop in my life, a folder of paperwork. "Hi," she said. "Thanks for replying. I'm sorry to drag you into this, but I just signed a tenancy agreement with Liam. My friend sent me your Instagram post about cancelling a man faster than a subscription, and I put 2 and 2 together." She slid the folder across. On top was a printed copy of my old tenancy listing from Rightmove with "Housemate Olivia has moved out" highlighted in yellow. Below that, a fresh assured short-hold tenancy for a small flat over a shop in Kings Heath. Tenants, Liam Price and Aisha Khan. "He told me his ex did him over and left him stuck on a lease," she said, rolling her eyes. "Said he needed someone to share the new place with for a bit." I felt sorry for him. We both looked at the document. I recognized the pattern. Pour me story, rational explanation, small ask. I'd seen it with parcels, broadband, nights he was crashing at a mate's. "What do you want to know?" I asked. She took a breath. "Did he ever actually pay rent where you were?" She asked. "On time, I mean, no," I said. "He paid nothing. The one time he offered, it bounced." She winced. "He told me his direct debit failed because of a bank glitch," she said. "But there've been other things. Asking to put bills in my name for the credit score, that kind of thing. I just wanted an outside data point. I could have unloaded everything. The fiancé, the double life, the lies. Instead, I kept it simple and practical. He will push to put things in your name because yours looks cleaner than his," I said. "He will make you feel mean for saying no." "You are not mean. You are protecting yourself," she nodded, eyes bright. "Thank you," she said. I think I needed to hear that from someone who's been there. A week later, she texted. Aisha gave notice. Landlord was understanding, said Liam can stay if he wants LOL. Feel weird but relieved. Thanks again. For the first time, my involvement in Liam-related drama felt preventative rather than reactive. Not gossip, not revenge. Just one woman quietly passing on the pattern to another so she could opt out early. Around this time, my mortgage finally completed. It was a grey Thursday. The solicitor called mid-shift, and I had to duck into the treatment room between dressings, changes. All done, Miss Carter, she said. Congratulations. You are now the legal proprietor of 1 Beachfield Row. I hung up, leant my head briefly against the cool metal cupboard, and let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding since I was 23. That evening, I poured myself a glass of the cheapest Prosecco Aldi had, stuck a post-it note on my own front door that said owner occupied, and texted a photo of it to my best friend with the caption, turns out the happiest ending is not a man. It's a land registry entry. Owning the flat didn't protect me from ever being deceived again. It didn't make me immune to loneliness or bad dates or my own blind spots. What it did do was change the axis of my life. For the first time, the foundation under my feet was something I'd built and signed for myself. If someone wanted in, they'd be stepping onto my floorboards, not the other way around. A few months after completion, our trust put out an internal call for staff to share lived experience stories for a campaign on coercive control. I sent them a short paragraph about Liam, about double lives, about how financial control isn't always one person taking the money. Sometimes it's one person quietly embedding themselves in the paperwork of multiple women's lives. They used a de-identified version in a training video. The narrator said, "He told Sophie he was saving for their wedding. He told Olivia they'd talk about moving in when work calmed down. He told Aisha his ex had ruined his credit, so could she put the bills in her name just for now?" Watching it back in the staff room, with the hum of the vending machine and someone stirring tea in the corner, I felt strangely detached, like I was watching a patient's case, not my own life. Our safeguarding lead paused the video. "This isn't rare," she said. "We see versions of this all the time. The only reason it fell apart is because the women talked to each other." That stuck with me. Liam's whole system had depended on his compartments never comparing notes. The second a fiancée and a weekday girlfriend stood in the same hallway, the illusion shattered. The more I looked around, the more I saw similar structures. My colleague whose husband had one persona at the golf club and another online. The patient whose boyfriend was apparently terrible with money, but always had the latest phone while she juggled 3 jobs. I didn't become a crusader. I didn't start DMing strangers' girlfriends. But I did stop colluding with silence. When a friend tells me he's not on social media, he hates that stuff, I ask, "Have you at least met his mates?" When someone says, "We've been together 2 years, but I've never seen his place. Mine's just more convenient," I raise an eyebrow and say, "Convenient for who?" Sometimes they laugh me off. Sometimes they go quiet. Every now and then, a few weeks later, I get a message that starts with, "So, you know how you said." If you're listening to this and thinking, "God, I sound like Olivia 6 months ago," here's what I want you to know. Being lied to doesn't make you stupid. Con artists on a small scale or a large one aren't successful because their marks are thick. They're successful because normal, decent people assume other people are broadly telling the truth. That's not a character flaw. It's how society functions. Your job is not to turn yourself into a suspicious, closed-off husk. Your job is simply to check that what they say matches what the documents say. Introduce yourself to the other compartments in their life. Pay attention to the excuses they give for keeping you separate from everyone else. And if, one day, a woman turns up at your door with keys that don't fit your lock and a ring you've never seen, don't turn on her. Turn together. To the man who thought you'd never talk to each other, then decide, separately or in solidarity, what you're willing to share. I used to think my role in relationships was to be low maintenance, easygoing, undemanding, not asking too many awkward questions. Now I aim for something different. Mutual due diligence. I show you my life, messy edges and all. You show me yours. We both have the right to knock on each other's metaphorical doors and see who answers. Love can survive a lot of things: illness, job loss, bad haircuts. It cannot survive deliberate double booking. If this story has an ending, it's not a dramatic scene in a pub or a fiery speech. It's me, on a Sunday morning, in my own bed in my own flat, making coffee in a kitchen I paid to paint, with no one else's gym bag in the hallway. It's the quiet knowledge that the only person whose name is on my front door is mine. And if someone wants to share that space in future, they will walk in through that door with every card on the table, not tucked up their sleeve. A year after I bought the flat and retired from unknowingly sharing my boyfriend, my life had achieved a level of pleasant boredom I didn't know I needed. I worked, I slept, I paid the mortgage, I killed plants, I resurrected plants. I started a small ritual of buying myself flowers on payday and not waiting for anyone else to decide I'd earn them. Liam had faded into the background noise of bad decisions I made in my 20s. Alongside that fringe, I cut myself and the time. I thought I could pull off neon leggings. Then an email popped up from a name I recognized. Sophie Hall. Subject line: I'd request from the fiancé in your hallway. I made a cup of tea before opening it. Some messages deserve a hot drink. Hi Olivia. Hope you're well and that your boiler hasn't died again. I'm emailing because I thought you'd appreciate this. A friend of mine, old uni mate, very sensible, just rang to ask if I knew a Liam Price because she'd matched with him on Hinge and thought he's recently out of a long-term relationship. Ready to settle down line sounded familiar. Long story short, I've apparently become an unofficial warning system for his future prospects. I told her what I wish someone had told me. She's blocked him. It got me thinking, we can't stop him being who he is. But we can maybe stop him doing the same thing to women who haven't yet learned to check the paperwork. Anyway, if you ever feel like turning the cleaner and the fiancé into something useful, there's probably a podcast in it. Love, SX. I laughed. Alone at my little kitchen table. A podcast. Me, I struggle sticking to a 10-minute voice note to my best friend. But her point stuck. We couldn't rewire Liam. We could, however, become part of the cultural immune system that stops that behavior spreading unchecked. A week later, I sat down with my laptop and typed a different kind of email. This one was to a blog I follow, a woman who writes about modern dating disasters and financial red flags. Think calm drama stories, but British and unapologetically sweary. Subject: story tip, the cleaner, the fiancé, and the weekday. I wrote a concise, anonymized version. 3 women, 1 man, 1 boiler, 1 hallway. How we compared notes and walked away. She replied within a day. This is wild. Can I interview you anonymously for a piece on multi-lifers? People running parallel relationships. I think women need to hear how you clocked it and got out. And how you bought the flat after. That's the glow-up ending we like to see. No names, no identifying details, just patterns and lessons. That's how I ended up on a Zoom call one Sunday afternoon, talking into my laptop camera while my washing machine clanked in the background. We went over the now familiar beats, the never seeing his flat, the protected phone, the excuses for Saturdays, the fiancé in my hallway. Then she asked a question I hadn't been expecting. What's the bit you're still embarrassed about? She said, I thought about it, honestly. I said, not spotting it. All the tiny red flags I buried. The fact that he managed to propose to someone else without me even feeling like something was off. She nodded. Double quotes, everyone thinks they would somehow magically know, she said. But the point of a con is that it looks like normal life from the inside. You're not stupid. You were busy. You were being reasonable. He exploited that. We finished the interview. A few weeks later, the piece went live. How 3 women compared notes and cancelled 1 man's double life. Names changed. Cities fudged. Details blurred just enough to protect identities. The comments rolled in. Oh my God, this is my last 5 years in an article. I was leave. I never met his friends. When I finally did, they all thought he was single. I'm Sophie and Aisha. Mortgage with one guy, bills with another. Thought it was my fault for attracting the wrong men. Thank you for the bit about embarrassment. I've been so ashamed. I read them with a weird mix of nausea and relief. It's easy to think your disaster is uniquely ridiculous. Seeing it reflected back in dozens of strangers' stories made it feel less like a personal failure and more like a design flaw in how we're taught to date. A few months later, our hospital trust ran a staff stories evening, a casual thing in a lecture theatre where people could talk for 10 minutes about anything that wasn't strictly work. Cycling Land's End to John O'Groats. Surviving cancer. Raising triplets. That kind of thing. My ward sister thrust the email under my nose. You should do this, she said. Tell that boiler story. I laughed. Nobody wants to hear about my central heating. Lynn, not the boiler, she said. The man who thought he was too clever to get caught in the hallway. Nurses love that kind of karma. I thought about it. Standing up in front of colleagues and essentially saying, hi, I missed a massive lie for 3 years felt. Exposing Dart, but then I thought of PC McKenna's voice in my head. He already thinks it's acceptable to use your identity. Don't let him define the story. I sent my name in. On the night, I stood in front of about 50 people. Doctors in scrubs, cleaners in uniforms, physios still in their fleeces. The air smelled of coffee and hand gel. I started with the line I'd once said to Sophie. Double quotes, hi, I'm Olivia. And last year a woman knocked on my door and asked if I was the cleaner in my own flat. The room laughed in the way people do when they're not sure if it's okay. For 10 minutes, I told the PG-13 version. Enough detail to make the shape clear. Not enough to jeopardize any confidentiality. I ended with this. I'm telling you this not because it's dramatic, but because I work with some of the most intelligent, observant people in the world. And if it can happen to me, it can happen to any of us. Being caring, flexible, and trusting is how we do our jobs. The trick is learning where to stop that at the front door, afterwards. Two junior doctors and one healthcare assistant came up to me. The HCA, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes, said quietly, "My partner has a whole other family he never divorced from. Found out on Facebook. Thought I couldn't tell anyone at work. Nice to know I'm not the only mug." "You're not a mug," I said. "You're human," the junior DOC said. "I realize I've never actually seen my boyfriend's house. I just assumed it was because he lives with his brother and it's estate. I'm going to ask." We swapped dark little smiles, somewhere in the middle of all this. My dating life very tentatively restarted. Not in a big, fireworks way. In a friend of a friend, coffee first. No one comes to my flat for months way. His name was Daniel. He was a radiographer, which meant he liked machines more than drama, and had no interest in running multiple lives when he could barely manage his own laundry. On our third date, in a quiet pub, he said, "So, last relationship?" I told him, not the whole soga, but enough. He listened, fingers around his pint, eyes not flinching. "At least he was consistent," he said dryly when I finished. "Equally rubbish to everyone." I laughed. "Thing is," I said, "I'm on high alert now about secrecy. You don't post much online. I haven't seen your flat yet." My brain goes, "Is it happening again?" He nodded. "That's fair," he said. "For what it's worth, my flat is small, messy, and currently home to a dying spider plant. Happy to show you its full glory." He did. A week later, it was exactly as described. IKEA furniture, a suspicious smell from the fridge. No evidence of extra women or hidden children, more importantly. When I asked questions about exes, about money, about why he hadn't posted me on Instagram, he answered without making me feel like I was paranoid. "That's the test, isn't it?" My best friend said when I told her. "Not whether someone is flawless, just whether they get defensive when you try to see behind the curtain." We dated slowly, carefully, with more conversations about direct debits and emotional availability than my 23-year-old self would have thought romantic. At some point, without me quite noticing, Liam stopped being the benchmark I measured everyone against. He became just a story I tell when I need to illustrate a point. The last time I saw him was in a hospital car park. I was coming off a late shift. It was drizzling, that fine British rain that soaks you more than it looks like it should. He was standing by the payment machine, patting his pockets, clearly realizing he'd lost his ticket. When he saw me, his face did that flicker between guilt and bravado. "Leave," he said. "Or is it Miss Carter now?" "Both," I said. "You all right?" "Yeah," he said automatically. Then, "No, actually. Noah's been ill. In peds, all sorted now. Just trying to get out of here without selling a kidney to pay for parking." I pulled my pass out. "Swipe this," I said. "Staff discount." "It'll have it." He blinked. "You do that?" He said, "After everything?" "It's for quid, Liam," I said. "I'm not funding your lifestyle. I'm getting home 10 minutes faster." He smiled, a little crookily. "You look happy," he said. "Genuinely." "Suits you." "I am," I said. "Genuinely." "Hope you get there one day." He swiped. The barrier lifted. He drove off. I walked back to my little car, pulled my Costa-stained ID badge over my head, and sat for a second with my hands on the steering wheel, not shaking. Not angry, just done. If there's a moral to this 3-part saga, it's probably this. You cannot control whether other people will lie to you. You can control how quickly you check the facts when something feels off. How kindly or otherwise you talk to yourself when you realize you missed the signs, whether you turn your humiliation into a story that helps someone else spot the pattern sooner. I used to think my type was charming, slightly chaotic man who made me feel special. Now, my type is people who hand me their messy bits up front and say, "Here, this is me. What do you want to know?" I used to think being low-maintenance meant never asking for proof. Now, I think being high quality means I care enough about my own life to read the documents with my own eyes. If you followed this from part 1, the hallway, to part 2, the mortgage, to this quiet, boring little part 3 where nothing dramatic happens except a woman buying her own flat and choosing better next time. Thank you. The fireworks are fun. But this is the part that matters, the bit where you make a cup of tea, sit down with your laptop, and finally, soberly, choose yourself. If you've been waiting for permission to ask that awkward question, to pull that credit report, to knock on that metaphorical door, consider this it. The worst thing you'll find is a truth that was there all along. And the best thing, you might just find out that the only person whose name really needs to be on your front door is yours. The rest is optional. About a year after the hospital car park moment with Liam, my life had fully rotated onto a new axis. I was still nursing. Still in my little flat now, very officially mine, with a land registry title pinned in a cheap frame above my desk like a nerdy vision board. Still buying myself supermarket flowers. I was also, improbably, part of a loose little network of women who'd once been orbiting the same man. We didn't make a thing of it. There was no WhatsApp group called Liam Survivors or regular meetings with wine. We had busy, chaotic lives that didn't revolve around him. But every few months, a message would ping from Sophie, or Aisha, or the sensible friend who'd almost gone on a date with him. It was never about him, not really. It was usually something like, has anyone else tried this budgeting app? It's a revelation. Solicitor says I'm finally off the joint mortgage. Drink soon. Would you lot buy a house with a partner again? Or is that just me being traumatized? We'd reply with emojis, practical tips, the occasional gallows humor. At some point, without it being said out loud, we'd gone from women he'd lied to 2 women who happened to know one unpleasant man in common, and also happened to be quite useful to each other. The Sunday roast was Sophie's idea. My parents are doing lamb, and my mum's made too much, she texted. Also, my aunt keeps asking when I'm getting back out there as if I'm a horse. Come be my buffer. I turned up at her childhood semi in Sutton Coldfield with a bottle of red and a trifle I'd bought on the way. The house smelled of rosemary and gravy. Her mum hugged me like we'd been friends for years. So you'll leave, she said. The nurse. Good. Sophie's been boring us all to death with your house buying tips. We sat round a crowded table with cousins, aunts, the neighbour from next door who apparently qualified as family. Halfway through dessert, inevitably, relationships came up. Sophie's aunt leaned over, scooping up cream. You girls are very brave. You know, she said, after what that man put you through. If it were me, I'd never trust again. There was a time that sentence would have landed like a compliment. Look how strong you are, never trusting anyone again. Look how noble your self-protection is. Now, it just sounded sad. We trust, Sophie said, surprising me. We just ask more questions. Her aunt tutted sympathetically. But doesn't that ruin the magic? She said. All that checking and talking about money. Where's the romance? Romance doesn't pay the legal fees when someone's fidged your signature, I said. A bit more sharply than I intended. The table went quiet for a microsecond. Then Sophie's mum barked out a laugh. Exactly, she said. You know what's romantic? A man who'll sit down and show you his credit score with the lights on. Everyone laughed. The tension broke. Later, in Sophie's childhood bedroom with our jeans unbuttoned and our bra straps showing, we sat on the car park scrolling through our phones, swapping horror stories from friends' dating apps. Look at this one, Sophie said, handing me her phone. Bio says, honest to a fault. Looking for someone who doesn't play games, has a blurry pic, no surname, and his Instagram is on private. Absolutely not. She swiped left. You realize we sound like bitter aunties now. I said. She grinned. Bitter aunties with houses in our own names and no random broadband in other people's flats, she said. I'm fine with that. My phone buzzed. It was a notification from the blog that had run our anonymized story months earlier. New comment on how 3 women compared notes and cancelled one man's double life. I opened it. Read this. Pulled my credit report. Found my ex had opened a very account in my name and was paying it from his bank, so I'd build up a score. Closed it. Reported it. I feel sick and weirdly powerful. Thank you whoever you are. I showed Sophie, you. My friend, she said. are an influencer? God forbid, I muttered. But my chest felt warm, not because I wanted strangers on the internet to know my business, but because each time someone said, because of this. I checked X. It felt like another little invisible protection going up somewhere. A credit file checked in Leeds. A broadband contract questioned in Bristol. A woman in London deciding not to move in with a man whose name she couldn't find on any bills. We rarely see the disasters we prevent. They're just things that don't happen. Around the same time, our trust safeguarding team piloted a tiny experiment. In the electronic patient record, they added a new tick box, concerns about financial, identity abuse in relationship. Why? And if you ticked yes, it opened a brief prompt, describe briefly. Has action fraud? Police been informed? Has patient checked creditor benefits in their own name? It wasn't a revolution. It was a field in the database. But in the next month's team meeting, one of the GPS said, we used that box 3 times last week. In all 3, the woman had no idea her ex had taken out stuff in her name. We gave them the right links. Felt good. I thought of PC McKenna, of the HMRC man. Of all the humans who'd patiently explained my own case to me when I felt like I was losing my mind. That's what this really boiled down to. Systems that remember we exist as individuals, not just appendices to some man's paperwork. As for my own life, part 4 was less about Liam and more about what grew in the space he'd vacated. Daniel, the radiographer, slowly stopped being new and started just being there. Present, not in a smothering way, but in a reliable, texts when he says he will and turns up on time way. One evening, about a year into dating, we were cooking in my tiny kitchen, stepping around each other in a familiar dance. When he hesitated, there's something I wanted to run by you, he said. Stirring sauce, if you want to change the pasta shape. This is a democracy, I said. Except about fusilli, which is banned. He rolled his eyes. Serious, he said. My landlord's selling up. I need to move, banned. Look, before your brain goes to the hallway scene, this isn't a secret second life. He gestured around. You've seen my shoebox flat. You've met my mum. My brother's stolen half your Netflix. There are no compartments left. I laughed, but he kept his gaze steady. What I'm saying is, he went on, would you ever consider me moving in here? Not now, necessarily, but in future. And if the answer is no, that's allowed. I just want to talk about it like grown-ups, not end up with a drawer and a toothbrush by accident. Old me would have giggled, deflected, said, we'll see. Nimi put the wooden spoon down, leaned against the counter, and actually thought about it. On 3 conditions, I said. He raised an eyebrow. Hit me. 1. My name stays on the deeds, solely. No sneaky remortgaging. No putting you on anything without proper advice, and both of us knowing exactly what it means. Very fair, he said. 2. We have a boring conversation about bills. What's in whose name? Who pays what? What happens if one of us earns less? I love boring conversations, he said. I'm built for boring conversations. 3. We tell my mum before we do it, so she doesn't find out from Aunt Carol seeing your socks on my washing line. He laughed. Deal, he said, and held out his hand. We shook on it like business partners. It wasn't romantic in the Hollywood sense. It was romantic in the 2 tired healthcare workers deciding not to sleepwalk into cohabiting sense. We didn't move him in that month, or the next. We went away for a weekend and realized we managed stress very differently, and needed to work on that first. But the ability to have the conversation without either of us sulking or manipulating felt like the real marker of healing. A few months later, a letter came through my door with a familiar HMRC logo. My stomach did its old reflexive drop, then steadied when I saw the heading, National Insurance Number, Misuse Alert Closed. They'd archived Liam's case. Nothing new had pinged against my NI since the child benefit disaster. They were satisfied that no ongoing risk remained in relation to the misuse originally reported. It was bureaucratic. Wording, dry, anticlimactic. It also felt like someone somewhere in a grey office had finally drawn a line under a file, with my name and his in it and stamped. Metaphorically, no further action. I put the letter in my folder in the bottom drawer. The one label closed. Above it, in the current section, were much more ordinary things. A window replacement quote I was ignoring. My latest payslip. The printout from the NICE guideline on asthma that I used to bully junior doctors into prescribing properly. My life. In other words, the last Liam adjacent thing that happened to me came out of nowhere. I was walking down Corporation Street one Saturday, laden with shopping bags like a cliche, when a woman stepped into my path, early 30s, dark hair scraped back, a little boy of about 3 attached to her hand. Sorry, I said automatically, stepping aside. You're Olivia, right? She said. My hand tightened around the handle of my bag. Yes, I said slowly. I'm Jess, she said. Aisha's sister. We met at hers once when you came round with that chocolate cake. I relaxed a notch. I remembered that afternoon, 3 of us on Aisha's floor, trying to assemble IKEA furniture and failing. Hi, I said. How's she doing? Good, Jess said. New job, new flat. Hasn't mentioned Liam in months. So I assume that's a win. Definite win, I said. She hesitated. I just wanted to say, thanks, she said, for whatever you said to her. She was about an inch away from signing up to a joint loan with that man. You and Sophie appearing when you did probably saved her about 10 years worth of grief. It wasn't just me, I said. She had the courage to back out. Jess nodded. Sure, she said. But it helps when someone else has already walked face first into the glass door and can point out where it is. She squeezed my arm. Then let Noah drag her towards the toy shop. I stood there for a second in the noise of Saturday shoppers, feeling oddly light. We rarely get to see the ripple effects of our disasters turn lessons. That was one of them. If you've stayed with me through 4 parts of this, you'll have noticed that the dramatic turning points, the hallway, the child benefit letter, the solicitors were only half the story. The other half is what happened after the adrenaline, the bits where I sat with my mum at her kitchen table and admitted I didn't trust my own judgment for a while. Let my friends pay for the wine without doing the I'm fine. Honestly, Dancer read boring financial guidance and boring NICE guidelines and realized they both boil down to check early. Document. Don't assume I didn't become a different person overnight. I didn't stop wanting love, or partnership, or hot takeaways on the sofa on a Friday night. What changed was my sense of who was holding the pen when my life story got written down. For a long time, other people filled in the forms and I signed where they pointed. That applied to visas, broadband, joint tenancy agreements, and relationships. Now, if someone hands me a pen, I read the line first. If you take anything from this multi-episode saga of pesto, paperwork and poor choices in men, I hope it's this. You are allowed, at any point, in any relationship, to say, show me your place, show me the bill you want me to just be on for now, show me the messages. Show me your actual life, not just the curated one you want me to see. And if they bristle, deflect, turn it back on you as trust issues or being dramatic. Believe that, not whatever they say next. Because healthy people who actually want you in their real life will be relieved when you ask. It means they can stop performing and start existing. And the rest, the Liams of this world, let them find someone else who hasn't yet learnt to knock on the door. With any luck, by the time they get there, she have heard a story a bit like this one, and she have her own questions ready.